Hello, Pisces gang, Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to your tarot reading and astrology talk here at the Intuitive Teacup. My name's Annie. Happy to have you all out there. I'm going to do it a little bit differently this week. We're going to talk a lot of astrology. It's going to be about half and half. I feel more guided to do that this week more than ever. It's been like kind of a rough month, or at least April was, and there's so much good stuff to look forward to in May. That's why I kind of wanted to hop in here with some extra astro insight. So if you're down for that, awesome. It's going to be about half and half, so you can jump to the tarot reading if that's all you want. And if that's not your bag, whatever, I'll see you next time, hopefully. I welcome any sign into this reading, Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. But specifically, I highly, highly recommend that you check out your rising sign, especially for the astro knowledge, because that will likely resonate with you more if you check out your rising sign. So don't get overwhelmed if you don't know how to do that. It's a quick Google search. You just have to know your place, time, and date of birth. That will generate a birth chart for you. So look for what your rising sign is, or the zodiac sign that occupies the very first house of your zodiac wheel, your birth chart wheel. That would be your rising sign as well. But again, Pisces, Sun, Moon, Venus, whatever. Welcome to this reading. Let's do it. Let's set the intention here and now to get the people out there watching, my lovely Pisces gang out there. Let's get them some clear, helpful, and insightful messages for wherever they are currently at on their spiritual path. And guys, you know the drill. You're accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. This is a general reading, general messages. So use your best judgment and discernment. Release what doesn't serve you or does not resonate. Okay? So, first and foremost, happy Taurus season. The sun is moving through Taurus, and that is highlighting your third house. That has a lot to do with our mind, our mental energy, our perception. Sometimes it can do with our education, our studies, things to do with our neighbors, our school, our siblings, little short trips that we may take here and here. And look at you starting off with the 10 of Cups, Pisces. I absolutely love it. So with the sun being in Taurus, there's a lot more focus possibly on those topics that we just considered, education, writing, again, hanging out with siblings, that sort of thing. Venus has just moved into Taurus as well, and that's super exciting because Venus likes to be in Taurus. Venus is the planet most associated with how we relate, right? Relationships in any sense of the word. Venus likes to be comfortable. It likes to have fun. It likes to be kind of flirty, right? It also brings a keen interest in sort of like aesthetics and art and beauty, relaxation, comfort, luxury. That's all Venus stuff. So like relaxing, with a friend, local, going out to local areas, go to an art museum, go to a gallery or something like that. You may just have easier time getting along with siblings. You could do some form of like creative writing at this time, especially as Mercury will move into Taurus in a few weeks. But yeah, it's exciting stuff, guys. I know that house doesn't always sound like super sexy and interesting, but I don't know. I think it's going to bring a change of pace and like a relief. Venus has been in the sign of Aries, which can be a struggle and a strain. It's like trying to connect with people who are very self-motivated or selfish, or for you guys, it was moving through your house of money too. So power struggles with money, difficult conversations or different ideas regarding money. We also have Mars moving into Aries, and that is going to be in your second house, which has to do with, again, money, your possessions, your assets, your resources, what you value, your income. Mars is like, all right, let's go. I've been saying it's like, let's step on the gas, let's get the ignition, the throttle, and like, boom, we're off to the races. That's like Mars and Aries. That's what it's meant to do, right? It's meant to go fast. It's kind of a trailblazing, fun, exciting, passionate energy. It separates. It likes to go. With it in Pisces, your sign, you guys may have been feeling a little bit uncomfortable, right? When you put a planet like a Mars, which is associated strongly with like heat and war and sex and power, in the sign of Pisces. Pisces is like, let's put our effort, Mars, into things like, dance or spirituality or going with the flow. But I've been giving this metaphor to everyone. It's like when you put Mars in Pisces, I always think of the metaphor of like trying to run into the ocean. Like if you're a surfer, like you can do it, but eventually you're going to get that resistance from the water, where a lot of that energy and effort, it's kind of like eventually you just kind of have to surrender and submit, because you're not going to win that fight, right? There's too much going up against you. But if you surrender to the ocean, the Pisces in this metaphor, essentially, you'll get where you need to be. But a lot of it is, that Piscean spirituality of like, you kind of have to give it to God. You're going to end up where you're supposed to be. But if you try and have a very directed path to it, that's where it gets kind of lost in the sauce. But anyway, Mars moving into Aries, a lot more action and energy, maybe motivation to get your money in order. There could be important contracts. There could be, just a lot of action and energy, even maybe into... The second house has a lot to do with like your physical body, right? Almost like your body is like your temple too. So I don't know, putting action and energy into that, feeling more motivated to go out and exercise, something like that. Mercury is no longer in retrograde. Again, thank goodness. Contracts, conversations, if things were up in the air or miscommunicated or confusing, as you know what. Mercury going retrograde, again, in your second house of finances, money, career, values. It's going to start to bring things forward where we're actually gaining momentum. We're not just doing kind of like the feedback loop of, oh my God, I'm worried about everything, but I don't know what to do with it. So it's going to relieve a lot of that anxiety if you were experiencing that. Not to say everybody was. And then it will move into Taurus in a bit. And again, being more thoughtful, slowing down our thoughts, being more mindful. Again, with Venus there, I'm excited for Taurus season. I think it's going to be good. Last but not least, I just wanted to touch on the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which we had, let's see, I think it was like around April 20th. And that's a big one, guys. That only happens every 14 years. As a Pisces rising specifically, for those who resonate, Jupiter is the ruler of your first house, as well as your 10th house of career, status, reputation. So something Jupiter always wants us to grow and expand. It wants more. It doesn't really know limitations. It just wants to go and be big. It's very much associated with children, with buoyancy, with blessings, with spirituality, with education. So, moving through your third house, there may be more of an interest in topics of education and spirituality, or I don't know, for some of you even maybe working with children, working with school systems. That won't be for everyone, but writing especially becomes important, I think, when you do that. What was I about to say? Oh, but with Uranus, that's kind of like the maverick, unexpected planet, right? So when those two planets come together, there's like an expansion, but sometimes an unexpected breakaway or an unexpected, like almost like a burst of the bubble in order to go after what it is that we feel is our true calling. But with Uranus, it's not always a clean break. It can be very abrupt, unexpected. It can be lucky and fortuitous. It depends what your chart looks like. But yeah, there's something kind of shocking that is, I would say, allowing for liberation and maybe more independence. Now, if you didn't feel anything specifically on, April 20th, that doesn't mean you're not going to experience that blessing. And I do think it's going to be a blessing, but we have to remember in the sign of Taurus, which is kind of a slower moving earth sign, it requires some productivity, or it requires some dedication, some loyalty to the task, to the work we're doing with third house matters. It may even have to do with the lives of your siblings. Your sibling could be going off to a different country to pursue their education, or maybe they're, getting married, or, learn that they're pregnant and starting a family. There's a lot of kind of like Jupiter-Uranus stuff there that could be really juicy and interesting. But again, I think that's going to unfold over the next couple months. But I think there's more reason to be excited about it than not. And especially, we're going to get into the tarot now, Pisces. With your 10 of Cups coming through, that's the happiest card in tarot, just about. That and the sun card. So, let's tap into the tarot here. Let's tap into the Pisces energy. I just wanted to give you kind of like a flavor of what's to come, because there's just a lot more ability to move forward and feel a little bit more at ease and more comfortable and at peace. I think, again, not true for every sign out there, but for a majority, April was a tough month. There was a lot of astrology. So if you're at your wit's end, exhale, know that like good things are just around the corner. And I mean, happiness is a choice. Life is what you make it. But I think to a certain extent, we can't always have the rose-tinted glasses on. Sometimes we have to acknowledge, like, yeah, the situation isn't ideal. And it is about how you deal with it. It is about how you sort of choose to react to things going on around you. But astrology in some way is meant to rattle you and challenge you, because, again, that Jupiter-Uranus, it like forces you out of a comfort zone in order to pursue something greater. But with that, there's sometimes a need to find your footing again. It can be a little bit like, what is going on? Tell me about this 10 of Cups. All right, so I'm hearing options or illusions. What is the illusion of the fairy tale ending? What is the illusion of the happily ever after? And are you maybe putting all your eggs in one basket and not realizing there might be something else out there for you? Something about these two children is particularly significant as well. for some of you, that's like a metaphor of like meeting someone when you were very young that may be coming back into your life, possibly for romance. And it's like, you guys call each other like kids or something. Like we met when we were kids, we met when we were in high school, or it could be someone you know from like your upbringing, your childhood, your old neighborhood, or some connection from the past. I don't know why I'm almost getting like a Six of Cups energy here. It's like being a part of each other's narrative throughout the years. It's like your narratives ran parallel, but they may actually start to intersect again. Someone from your past may be moving closer to you, or vice versa. You may be connecting with them online. And for some of you, it almost opens up this sort of, I'm hearing like untapped well of feeling some sort of way, feeling some sort of emotions that you didn't know that you were going to be feeling for that person. Interesting, because they might be making some sort of offer to you. Well, I'm going to jump back for a minute. I'm almost getting the idea of flattery and praise and recognition. Someone who's kind of stroking your ego a little bit, Pisces. Someone who just, they think you're the bee's knees. They think you're the cat's pajamas. They think you're really cool. And I think you are very appreciative and grateful to be hearing those things. I think sometimes you question that about yourself. But yes, this feels like a person who either they've been a cheerleader for you throughout your life. You may not see them all the time. That's something about being at a distance. You might not see them all the time, but they've always kind of been a background player, if you know what I mean. They've always kind of been there, again, maybe you dated for, a season in college and then whatever, but you're still friends, you Facebook each other, blah, blah, blah. This person may be coming back in and you may be questioning their intentions, not in a bad way, but it's almost like, you're very psychic, Pisces. I almost see this as you kind of reading between the lines and being like, are they flirting with me? Like, are they? And then I think you start doing that too, of like, wait a minute, do I have feelings for them? That's for some of you. Some of you are realizing that you are looking for means and resources and income. It's funny, I gave Gemini the same message, I believe it was Gemini, from a certain entity, a certain boss, a certain company, a certain person. And it's almost like there's this struggle for them to see your worth and all that you contribute. And I think there is, okay, again, like Jupiter, Uranus to me here is very much like this liberation of like, I'm meant to be so much bigger than the small box you're trying to put me in. So this is for a lot of my Pisces who are feeling confident and knowing what you bring to the table, because you bring a lot with these cards. For a lot of you, I think you're starting to look at particularly a job or a workplace, thinking that maybe at one point in time it was your happily ever after. You thought you were committed to them in contract. You were going to, build your career with these people and, seek the promotions and get the bigger office and, whatever, put it in context. But for a lot of you, you're starting to realize, oh, well, that took a turn. And maybe it's coming off of some sort of disappointment or negative conversation that happened. Especially with the Mercury retrograde, because, Mercury rules your 7th house of long-term partnerships and contracts. So, maybe it has to do with romance, but for a lot of you, again, I think the Jupiter, Uranus stuff, it has to do with maybe breaking away from an everyday role that you were living out in regards to a company or a job or in society. And the thing is, there's not a lot of bitterness or resentment, at least anymore. I'm not saying that may not have been part of the puzzle previously, again, especially the last month, probably. It's like it dug up a lot of dirt. It dug up a lot of things where you couldn't ignore the red flags anymore, where I think you started to see someone else, some other entity, as maybe not being on your team or not having the same goal or vision anymore. And that's sort of the first message I got here about the illusion or the fantasy of the happily ever after. A lot of you are starting to realize, like, I create my happily ever after, and I can't depend on these people to see my vision and my value and pay me what I'm worth, because they're just not capable of it. In some ways, this 9 of Pentacles lady, which is representative, a lot of you out there, male, female, whatever, it's not a gender thing. There's almost like this, oh, that's too bad for them. Like it's coming off not as, again, vengeful or bitter or resentful. It's just like, oh, I don't know how to phrase it. It's like you feel bad for them. You feel kind of sad for them because you're starting to realize they're never going to grow into what they could be. Like, I think, you saw a lot of strength and promise and vision, and for some reason it's like you pity them. Thank you, Spirit, that's the word. There's something about who you were working with, you were just like, oh man, like that's just too bad for them, like they're losing a really good thing and that's me. But you know what, like my happiness is my priority, not these people who, and I'm not saying it's negative or positive or that, you know, these people are evil or this or that, or, you know, it's because it's not coming through that way. You have very positive cards here, but the illusion or the fantasy of building with someone long term, I think a lot of you are deciding to go rogue or independent or sever something off because it's inhibiting your growth. That's Jupiter, Uranus, big time, especially in, you know, in third house matters. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to resonate for all of you out there, but again, the Jupiter stuff has to do with like your legacy and your reputation, and also how you present yourself in the world, essentially, right? You know, for Pisces rising, it's like that's your window to the world. That's how you present yourself. That's kind of like your meet and greet personality, how you come into the room. And so something about that it's maybe being reinvented or being reinvigorated or feeling like you need to. It's almost like the pursuit of knowledge is changing how you operate in the world. So it may even have to do with sort of like your belief system or your moral, your ethical code, what you believe in, you know, as a person, and how you want that to be mirrored by the people you choose to hang out with. A lot of you, there's like a more independent energy here. And for some of you, the Seven of Cups may actually end up being the idea of having your hand in multiple cookie jars. You know, if you were, especially with money, it's coming through very strong with money, relying on one paycheck to get you by. Some of you may be like, you know what, I'm going to cut my hours at this place and pursue something on the side that not only does it make me happier, but I'm more in control of how much I make there. You know, I'm not waiting for the promotion or the raise or you know, being taxed for this or that. So it is coming off as very strong and very confident, but it's coming through as like you being the power player of your own life. I hope that makes sense to you. And I know there's a lot of messages coming through. So again, there is some storyline too about connecting with someone from your past and starting to feel feelings. Anything else? Let's see. Yeah, again, I think that there's this questioning of the past and how far you've come. And I think for some of you, there's a little bit of apprehension or fear of moving away from something that you've invested a lot in. Now, maybe you've invested money in this company. A lot of you've certainly invested time. But for, you know, especially for a water sign or somebody who has strong water in their chart, you've invested a lot emotionally in the happily ever after of this person, this company, this job, this group of people. And so some of you feel like, well, was it for nothing? If I walk away, you know, what does that say about me? Was this whole thing for nothing? Was it a failure? And no, of course not. But I think you guys are on the cusp of seeing this actually happened for a greater reason. And it's cliche to say it, and I know in the moment when you're going through it and, you know, the dust is settling from a major fallout, if that's what happened, you're not ready to hear, oh, well, it was for your highest good. But here's the thing, guys, it kind of is. And again, revisit this later. It might make sense in context later, because some of you, you're still kind of coming to terms with the fact that someone that you were building a life with or building a world around, it's actually the universe is sending you off in a different direction. But it's Jupiter, guys. It's Jupiter, which says grow, expand, and expect blessings and abundance and buoyancy, right? There's something about leaning into the more like childlike wonderment of like, the world is my oyster and full of possibility. You have the Ace of Cups being handed to you, right? It's metaphorically like the hand of God or the hand of, you know, universe, whatever you believe in, giving you an opportunity, saying, hey, like, here's a cup. Do you want to try sipping from it? But because it's new or different, there might be an apprehension to try it because of what is safe and steady, familiar, consistent. But the thing is, I'm not sure how steady it is, because something about this has sort of rocked your world a little bit, where it's not as dependable as you thought it was. My advice to you is take the sip. Take the sip from the new cup, because I think it will be to your liking. I think it'll be tasty, Pisces. Yeah, the Page of Wands, be curious, be adventurous. Again, something about being in student mode, an excellent card for wanting to pursue new opportunities, for being immersed in new places, meeting new people, new cultures. There's always like the little pyramids in the background here. So I always think of it as, for a lot of you, maybe travel is becoming more and more significant to you. Maybe you're going to travel for a living, or maybe you're going to write about travel, or you're going to start a blog, or something about expanding out of your immediate network or branch or zone or territory. Again, Jupiter says expand. You got to grow. We got to go bigger. Jupiter says go big or go home. Only it never goes home. Jupiter's the life of the party. So careful, Pisces. Know your limits, right? Know your limits. All right. What is this Page of Wands wanting to discover and explore? Something from the past. Yeah. So again, this is going all over the place for me, because there's two very strong narratives coming through, and I'm not saying they're related, and I'm not saying that they're both true for all of you, so you're going to have to pick and choose what makes sense for your life, if at all, right? If it doesn't, release it. I do think there's a King of Pentacles wanting to make an offer, but they're slow to approach because they might not know if you're single, Pisces. Again, someone from your past, they already kind of sort of, you guys know each other. There's an element here of wanting to lean into more flirtation and lighthearted energy. And I think there's confusion on getting a pulse on if you have feelings for them, but also vice versa. You're kind of like, I feel like they're flirting with me, but like, I'm not really sure. Like, no one's necessarily wanting to kind of roll the dice or take the risk and put their feelings out there. Because, I don't know, with the Five of Swords, there could be a falling out from a relationship that is currently still kind of sort of together. It's possible someone is going through a divorce. And I'm not here to judge, but I will say be cautious, because, if you guys are trying to get together with this person from your past, but, the divorce hasn't really been made official yet, or they're still going through the process. Again, I use your best judgment, but I'm just saying there could be a little bit of conflict here in terms of like, well, wait a minute, you're still married, or I thought, you still live with your ex. Like, what's going on here? There's a little bit of that. Others of you, if you're both completely single, you're still kind of flirting, this or that. There could have been something that transpired in the past that made this person put their guard up, or I'm hearing the word wall. They have their wall up. They feel like they need to love you in a detached way because they don't feel safe. There could be trust issues there. And for some of you, you don't even know why. There's a weird message, or not weird, but there's a message coming through here about like, you said something to them once that made them retract or withdraw. And I don't even think it was a criticism or an insult. It was something you said just very off the cuff. It may have been some comment you made about money or the starving artist life, or something that like they actually took it to heart. They took it very personally, but you weren't even talking about them or their situation, but they almost got a sense of, well, Pisces wouldn't be interested in me because I remember that one time they said that they would never date someone, I don't know, in the military, or they would never date someone who, fill in the blank. I don't know why I said military. That was so random. But, maybe they could never, they would never do a long distance relationship. And so this person's like, well, I don't really live close to them, so maybe I don't want to. I think you guys are going to clear the air, honestly, as long as this King of Pentacles doesn't represent someone who's already married. And I mean, for one or two of you, it might. But even so, I don't know, with the Jupiter Uranus stuff, something about this to me says a breaking off of something that you thought was going to be long standing in order to pursue something that's more alignment with your growth, something that you're meant to develop into in this life. All right, Pisces, let's get you an oracle card and wrap it on up. For Pisces, what can I share with Pisces? A little phrase, animal medicine card. Parrot spirit, watch your words. Interesting. Watch your words. And Mars is in Aries, along with Mercury kind of going back over its track of where it retrograded. And, both those things combined, especially in the sign of Aries, it can be very blunt. It cannot always think things through. It can be very impulsive. So I'm not sure if it's negative or positive, but try and be a little bit more thoughtful with your words if you can right now, because they can be very cutting. Mars can be very clear cut and sometimes say things that come off as very harsh when maybe we were just, maybe we were reacting off of emotions, but that wasn't necessarily an accurate representation of like the truth or how we really feel. This says koi fish spirit. I love that the fish came up from my Pisces. There is always enough. And then dog spirit, be loyal to what you love. I love that. Look how cute. Look how cute that is. All right, Pisces, that's what I got for you. Thanks for joining me today, guys. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want to leave a positive comment, that is always welcomed and encouraged. You can smash the thanks button if you want to leave a tip or donation. And if you want more content from me, I am on Instagram and Facebook as The Intuitive Teacup. I will see you soon for more tarot. Bye, guys.